Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence. How are you? I hope you're doing good. A big mahalo for tuning in. I appreciate having you on board. Today, we're fortunate to have another fabulous guest from the Elton John Band. Of course, he is also a tremendously gifted composer, producer, solo artist. He got cracking with Elton John over 40 years ago. He even played with Elton at his famous Troubadour shows, the legendary LA club where Elton was just debuting in the United States. That's how far back my next guest goes. From there, it's been a life of drumming and backup vocals for Sir Elton John, plus colorful side projects like War Pipes with fellow Elton John band member and HPR guest Davy Johnstone. There have been solo records, ventures like his newest kit from DW Drums. It's a pleasure to welcome on the line from the Elton John Band and my guest today, drummer, vocalist Nigel Olsson. Aloha and mahalo, brother Nigel.
Aloha. How are you?
I'm very good, bro. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year to you all.
And Happy New Year right back to you.
Thank you, sir.
You and yours, my brother. Can you recall, it's been a long ride, so no fault if you can't, but can you recall your very first visits to Hawaii? I'm assuming they were with Elton.
It was with Elton, and I think it was 1972. I'm not sure.
Sounds right.
71, 72. And we played the HIC Arena, which is no longer the HIC Arena.
Blaisdell now.
Yes, right. And I will never forget the first time we were over there. We came, I think we'd done a few shows in Australia, and on the way back, we stopped over in Hawaii, and we had a week off before the shows. And we were on Maui, and we stayed at Kahanapali.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yes, and right next to Lahaina, which just blew our minds because it was somewhere that it was just, I mean, I grew up a lot of my early life in Africa, which is very, very, very tropical where I lived in Africa. And to go to Hawaii was basically the same. You know, it would pour down with rain, and then suddenly it's brilliant sunshine. And the people there were just amazing. It was a trip. We really enjoyed it, and we still love coming back to Hawaii.
It's one of these things where obviously you've got more insight to it, but it looks like right from the beginning, was it a thing where Elton realized he wanted to create this place to rejuvenate, and that in the midst of a tour, and that Hawaii would sort of be that? Is that how it happened? Exactly.
Yeah, we loved doing that because it did break the tours up for us, because in those days we would tour all the time, and if we weren't touring, we'd be in the studio doing, the next album. So it was a great break, and what a perfect place to relax, and still to this day I come in and out of, last time I was there was I think a year ago. I was on the Big Island and Kona. I have a friend over there, and it was just beautiful. It's just so relaxing. So, yeah, we're looking forward to coming over at the weekend.
That's huge, dude. So you, on that personal journey part of it, so you come back here on your own just for recreation?
Yeah. It's a beautiful place to be.
That's really happening. And besides the Big Island, which you just mentioned, are there other islands besides Oahu and Maui and the Big Island that you ventured to?
Kauai. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Because I love vegetation and flowers and stuff like that. It's like stepping into a different world over there on that beautiful little island. And
keeping in, when I think about your background a little bit and how you described your memories and how the place in South Africa that you lived was, Kauai would certainly be our most tropical.
Yes.
A spot out here. Any as we wrap up the Hawaii portion of the interview, any treasured adventures or memories from here that really stick out in your mind or that you hold quite dear to you?
Well, the first time I went snorkeling, I was always afraid of getting too far out especially in the ocean.
You and me both.
Yes. especially after I saw the first Jaws movie.
That'll do it, bro.
that did it for me, I'm sorry. I went snorkeling on Maui, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. You know, the different types of fish and the coral, and it was just amazing. And as I say, I love coming back.
We're so fortunate that both Elton's been able to make it his business to come back, and that you feel the way that you do. Something that's perhaps a lot of Elton John fans don't realize about you is, despite the fact that you're this world-class drummer and that we've all appreciated for so many years, you really started on guitar. What brought the guitar into your life, Nigel?
Well, when I lived in Africa, when I was a little boy, many, many years ago, my brother and I were given gifts of guitars. And we learned, a few chords. And in those days, you only had to really use 3 chords because, that was basically...
That was it?
The songs that you would play would only have 3 chords in them.
Right.
And when I moved back to England... when I was like maybe 13, I joined a band as a guitar player and singer. And the places that we played at were like pubs and, very small clubs and stuff. And the place where I lived in England was kind of rough. So if you didn't play the songs that they wanted you to play, they would hurl stuff at you, beer bottles and stuff like that. And there was one day that we were on the way to the gig, and our drummer couldn't make it for some reason or other. And I could keep the time, so I said, okay, I'll just go back on the drums. And I found out that night that being behind the drums and the cymbals, I could have kind of shields from the bottles coming over.
Oh, wow.
So that was that was basically it. I stayed there from then on.
What a great story of it. I don't think I've ever had a story of a transition from one instrument to another.
Yes, it was instant.
That was so colorful as that one.
Yeah.
And then it was, what's kind of cool is, very, very briefly, you were in Uriah Heep, and I've always loved certain Uriah Heep songs that came, I guess, later in their catalog, but is that really the thing that made the opportunity to meet Elton come up, being in Uriah Heep?
Well, actually, I'd known Elton and Bernie for a while before that, because I was with a band called Plastic Penny, who had, it was kind of a studio band, and they put a record out in the late 60s called Everything I Am, and it was going up the charts, so they had to scramble to put a regular touring band together to promote that record. And the record company was owned by Dick James, who was, he owned Dick James Music Publishing Company and Page One Records. And Elton and Bernie actually were staff writers for him. Oh. So when I was in and out of the office, I would see Elton and Bernie there, and we became friends way before. And I was with the Spencer Davis Group for a little while, did his last major tour of the States, came back and was out of work. And Elton suggested that he knew David Byron, who was the lead singer from Uriah Heep, and they were looking for a drummer. Would I be interested?
Oh, wow.
And I said, sure, yeah, I'll go along. And so I did, and joined the band, and I did 9 dates with them. And Elton asked myself and bassist Dee Murray to do a promotional gig for him, just to sell some records so that he could get his songs out there and, heard and recorded by other people. He didn't really want to be an artist. He just wanted to write songs for people. So I said, yeah, that'd be great. So we went into Dick James' studio and started rehearsing for the show. And within the first probably 8 bars, that was when I knew, oh my God, this is it. This is the stuff I want to play. Because you're right, he were kind of one of the early headbanger bands.
Right.
Not that I didn't like their music, but it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Sure.
So after that, we did the one show with Elton, and we decided that we've got to do this more. We've got to go on the road, and that's when I realized that this was the music I had loved, and this is what I'd been looking for. And here we are.
That is so cool so it's a reverse sort of how I was thinking.
Yes.
And yet he brought you right back to him. So, and for a guy, I was talking with Davey about this too, how there's got to be some stuff about you two cats that has made you so enduring for him. And before you try to speculate on that, when did you recall, if you will, the first moment that you looked around you on stage and thought, we are on a roll. This bit that Elton is doing is really taking off, and then that you realized it was going to be a career perhaps with him?
I think that would be when we played the first week at the Troubadour here in LA, way back when. There was only 3 of us. Elton, Davey, and Dee. No, it was Dee and myself and Elton at that stage. Davey came to the band in 72. But the first time that I realized that this was going to be big was that first week at the Troubadour in LA. And then we went on to San Francisco for another week at the Troubadour there. And went back to England, and nobody knew who the heck we were. In fact, it was many, many years before we had a hit record in England. I think the first hit record in England was "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" with Kiki Dee.
That was amazing.
So, but we were huge in America. I mean, it was like we were so busy actually that we didn't realize how big we were, because we were, as I said earlier, if we weren't touring, we were in the studio, tour, studio, tour, studio. We really didn't take any time off. And, being young lads as we were, we didn't need the rest that you need now when I'm, 65 years old, whatever.
Sure.
But, it's been a long journey, and we're still rocking out, man.
What do you think, as I sort of led into that question by the overall theme? The bigger theme would be, when you look at a cat like yourself, you think, how the hell did he keep the gig for so long when he could be replaced by so many other people, but yet somehow he's still in demand? What is the trick for staying in demand with Elton John for 40 years?
That's a toughie. I think basically it's the way I play, and especially Davey and I have been there for so long. It's like it gels so well together. We're all on the same wavelength. We don't have to tell each other, okay, maybe you should play this like that, or you should play this like that. We know exactly what the music is, because we've grown up with it. And in the early days especially, we would be in the studio, we'd go away for like 4 or 5 weeks and stay at the studio, and we could hear these songs being created. So, basically you knew before you were going in the studio exactly what you were going to play or how you were going to play it. And it wasn't ever a case of, you do this, you do that. It's just a natural thing, which is kind of unique, I don't know many bands that can do that and are still going strong,
It's such a special thing that you've got. Drummers, I'm a drummer too, Nigel.
Oh, bless you, good.
And I always like to do this bit. I'll tell you my 2 favorite drummers if you'll tell me who your 2 favorite drummers are.
Okay.
So you start, of course.
Okay. That would be Ringo and I love Bev Bevan.
Wow.
He played with ELO.
The man. He also was in Sabbath for a little while.
Yeah.
Look at you, Bevan.
I just loved the way he played.
Yeah, man.
And we know when they come on the radio, it's that ELO sound that
Brilliant
nobody
sound.
other than Jeff Lynne has got that together.
So warm, that sound.
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and the way they recorded the drums is just amazing, amazing. And there's a guy that played with the Hollies in the early days, and his name escapes me right now. I'll think about it. He actually inspired me with doing the long fills, drum fills, using the tom-toms and just not, kick and snare and hi-hat. He really experimented with doing the tom-tom fills, and I actually stole a lot from him.
Wow. Wonder what this guy, we'll have to dig his name up. Drummer
I think
from
it's Bobby Elliott, maybe.
Okay. I will look it up. I'll dig into that for you.
Okay, dig into it.
You want to know who my two favorites are?
Go ahead.
My number one favorite would be John Bonham.
Yes.
And number two would be Cozy Powell.
Cozy Powell, yeah.
Did you know either?
I knew Bonham quite well. Yeah, we did a show with them at way back in the early days. It was the Schaefer Festival in Central Park in New York.
Right.
And he and I hung out after the gig, and what a great guy.
Awesome.
And also I was good friends with Keith Moon, who was another, he was pretty crazy.
Yeah, he was. He's another favorite, too.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Different drummer, different sound.
A whole different deal.
Love his kid. Zach, what a monster, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, not his kid. That's Ringo's kid, but I guess because he plays in The Who, I give him that. He has like a sound that complements The Who so well.
Right.
Zach
Exactly.
Starkey. Do you think that, too?
That's absolutely true. He's quite amazing, little Zach.
Yeah, like he just fits. Like he sounds like Keith. Like he can play all that Keith stuff. It's spooky. If I ever meet Ringo, man, I got to give him a high five just for the kid alone.
Yeah.
Just for the kid. A final question for you, Nigel. When you're in Honolulu for a few days, would you be willing to do a short follow-up interview with me? We're the NPR station. We're public radio. Like 10 minutes at the sound check. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Just sorted out with
Kara?
whoever you sorted this out.
Yeah, Kara is the
Kara.
Is the
from
one.
Rogers and Cowan, yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
Absolutely. I don't know whether we're doing sound checks, but probably before the show. If you sort it out with her, she'll sort it with our assistant.
Awesome. We'll work it out. She'll handle the details as long as you're cool with it.
I'm cool with it.
They'll send you on your merry way. Hopefully this wasn't a bad phoner. Hopefully.
No. Excellent.
Excellent. All right. It was a lot of fun. All right. You're the man, Nigel. I'll give you a big hug. I'll work things out with Kara. And I'll see you when you get here. I really did appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun talking to you.
Look forward to it.
You be safe, bro.
You too, man.
Aloha.
Aloha.